windy. Hey everyone, it's Charles. What's up? I actually did a survey recently in which I asked over 1,100 Pokemon fans what their favorite Pokemon is. More specifically, I asked, if you could only have one Pokemon, which Pokemon would it be? Now, before watching this video, why don't you go down to the comments and let me know, if you could only have one Pokemon, which Pokemon would it be? Okay, you did it right. In that case, let's get going. So originally, I just started asking people out of personal interest. I didn't really intend to make a video. And the thing is, I wanted to know what actual Pokemon fans thought. So I didn't just ask random people, I actually targeted my question at people who are active in various Pokemon communities. But what I soon realized was that I had gathered quite a few responses and this could make a fairly interesting video. So this is pretty cool because we do have the opinions of, not just random people on the street who are all gonna say Pikachu, but the opinions of people who are active in the Pokemon community and have quite a variety of favorites. And if this channel does grow, I would love to do another more detailed survey like this, where I could ask like 10,000 people or 100,000 people. So if you are interested in that, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell button so you get notifications when I put out videos. I put out various kinds of videos about Pokemon and games and anime and life in Japan. So if you're interested in that stuff, let's link up and chat. I'm just doing the top 10 based on the votes that I tallied up, but at the end of the video, I will include all of the data so you can see, what are the other favorite Pokemon that only got 1 or 2 votes or whatever, because those are pretty interesting too. All right, I'm looking forward to hearing about all of your favorite Pokemon, and now let's talk about the internet's top 10 favorite Pokemon. All right, rounding out the list at number 10 and just barely edging out Gardevoir, we have a longtime fan favorite. It's cute, it's small, it's orange, it's a fire type. It's number 10, the adorable Charmander. Who doesn't love Charmander? I certainly love Charmander. And actually Charmander is kind of a special Pokemon for me because the very first episode of the Pokemon anime that I watched many years ago was the one where that Damien,
it's a pretty cool collection,
leaves his Charmander out in the rain and it, almost dies before Ash comes and rescues it. And that episode left a huge impression on me, as you can probably tell, since, it's like 20 years later and I'm a grown-ass man making a video about Pokemon. So that was a really great episode, and I've had a soft spot for Charmander ever since. But for me, actually, my first starter Pokemon was not Charmander, it was Bulbasaur. What about you guys? Who was your starter Pokemon if you started from red, blue, or yellow? Fun fact, if you've ever read the Pokemon Zen Show, which is a manga that follows the story of Red and Blue more closely than basically any of the other complementary materials that came out around those games, Satoshi, Ash, actually chooses Charmander as his first Pokemon in the game. So, nice to see some love for Charmander in the Pokemon manga. Another fun fact about Charmander's design and concept is that it seems to come from the idea of alchemic elementals. Elementals basically being these kind of magical beings who can derive different kinds of special powers from the element they're related to. And in the kind of classic concept of alchemy, there are 4 elements and 4 elementals paired to those elements. I believe that the gnome is the being for earth, the undine is the being for water, the sylph is the being for wind, and the salamander is the elemental that relates to fire. And here we have Charmander, a salamander who is on fire. Charcoal, mander, salamander, a salamander who turns things into charcoal, makes sense. And there's even actually a real creature called a fire salamander, I think, which may have been an inspiration for Charmander as well. And in case you're wondering, which you probably weren't, in Japanese, Charmander is actually referred to as Hitokage, which just means salamander. Yeah, fire, salamanders, good combination. Holy, that's a big fly. So guys, any good Charmander memories to share? Okay, next up is number 9. Let's kick it off with some fireworks, aka Pokedex entries. Under a full moon, this Pokemon likes to mimic the shadows of people and laugh at their fright. Hiding in people's shadows at night, it absorbs their heat. The chill it causes makes the victims shake. Sounds pretty spooky, eh? Kinda like a ghost Pokemon. And while Haunter has always been my favorite ghost-type Pokemon, it does not tarnish my love for this real spooky, creepy, Cheshire cat-looking Pokemon. The internet has only one favorite ghost Pokemon, and that Pokemon is a spooky Pokemon who apparently at one point in time was a human, which in itself is a little bit creepy. Yes, number 9 is Gengar. Another absolute classic, and one that was certainly in my team of 6 back in the day, and probably one of the first Pokemon that people saw back then, because Gengar was actually in the opening intro to Red and Blue. kind of a fun fact, but the reason that Gengar and Nidorino appeared in that intro of Pokemon Red is that it was basically a nod to the original design concepts that Tajiri pitched to Nintendo, which was basically a set of drawings and descriptions of the game pitched under the name Capsule Monsters. So that was a pretty cool nod to the original concept. It's kind of interesting, but originally Gengar was supposed to be called Phantom in Red and Blue, but thank God they changed that crappy name into something more badass. Ooh, spooky. I'm actually worried about wild boars, not ghosts, but just keeping my eyes out. Anyways, love Gengar. How about you? By the way, Gengar is apparently Ken Sugimori's favorite Pokemon, and you know Ken Sugimori is a boss, so if Gengar is your favorite, you must have good taste in Pokemon. Alright, moving on. The next one is a more recent Pokemon, a Generation 4 Pokemon, and a Pokemon that is a real heavy hitter, or should I say, a heavy boxer. A boxer who is the fastest of all Steel-type Pokemon, except it's not even purely Steel-type Pokemon. It's a Steel Fighting type Pokemon. Yes, I am talking about Renamon. I mean, Blue Renamon. A lot of people really love Lucario. I think its popularity, like most things, can be measured in the sheer number of Lucario AMVs on YouTube. The way it dominates a lot of fan polls, the fact that it was popular enough to get its own Mega form. One of my friends even has a Lucario tattoo on his arm. People just love Lucario, apparently. And yeah, Lucario is pretty cool. After all, its design appears to be based on the Egyptian god Anubis, who was the god of embalming and the dead, who could apparently see people's kind of aura and judge them in the same way that Lucario can see other life forms' auras. And of course, Anubis had the head of a jackal, and Lucario quite clearly looks like a jackal, which, for whatever reason, really reminds me of this 1990s Canadian cartoon called Mummies Alive. Anyways, one sort of fun fact, the Japanese and English names for Lucario are the same, but in Japanese it's a little bit more clear what the word might have been derived from. If you flip it around, it just says Orikaru, which is the same way that you would write Oracle in Japanese, like exactly letter for letter. So that seems to make sense to kind of relate it to a sort of oracle type figure. And other people say that that could also be a kind of combination play on words with the word Oriclum, which is basically a type of mythical metal, which would make sense since Lucario is steel type. Next up, we've got a Pokemon which has the same birthday as Rick Astley, so you know it's an absolute winner. A Pokemon so powerful that it's been banned from competitive play basically forever. A Pokemon that got us super stoked after we'd smashed the Elite Four in Pokemon Red and Blue and I realized, holy shit, there is one more big climactic battle waiting for us. Yes, I am talking about Mewtwo. Seriously, what Pokemon fan who picked up Red and Blue back in the day does not have fond memories of finding the way to get to Cerulean Cave and finding Mewtwo, waiting there to piss you off and make you waste dozens of Ultra Balls if you didn't hang on to your Master Ball? Yeah, that whole experience of going to Cerulean Cave to fight Mewtwo was one of the really big, cool secrets about those first games that made it so exciting and mysterious and so much fun to explore the Pokemon world. And ever since, Mewtwo has got a lot of attention in the anime, the games, the cards, everything. And most recently, it even got 2 Mega Forms. One that looks pretty stupid, and one that looks like Kid Buu, which is actually pretty cool, I think. Mewtwo is awesome, and let's not even forget that first Pokemon movie. That was epic. Mewtwo was an absolute badass, and I found myself just so enthralled when I went to see that movie with my family that even though I was just on the verge of pissing my pants from drinking too much Coca-Cola, I could not bring myself to take my eyes away from the screen as, you know, Mewtwo and everyone were battling, and then Pokemon started crying after Ash died. What a great film. And speaking of the Pokemon movie, there is one psychic Pokemon who edged Mewtwo out. It is his counterpart. Yes, the pink, mysterious, embryo-looking Jerboa thing mixed with a kitty, Mew. Mew is legendary, not just in the context of the Pokemon universe, but in the context of Pokemon as a multimedia franchise, because the mystery surrounding the ability to acquire Mew in-game back in Pokemon Red and Blue generated a ton of buzz and word of mouth about the Pokemon games. It really just spread like wildfire. Since you couldn't catch Mew by normal means in the game, people were just scrambling to find a way to get it, and this gave rise to all kinds of strategies appearing all over the place, all kinds of misinformation in a time where getting reliable video verified information on the internet was not as easy, and it really just fueled all kinds of excitement about the game, got got people who initially were not interested intrigued because they wanted to find out what all their friends were talking about. It was just a brilliant play. So at least to some extent, we can owe a portion of the original game's success in the early days to the mystery of Mew. And it's kind of funny, but Mew originally, they weren't even going to put Mew in the game, but fortunately they had a little extra memory to work with and decided to slip Mew into the game's code. Good job, fellas. Mew is pretty cool. It's actually not totally clear where the name Mew comes from. Some people say it's a kind of derivation of Myo in Japanese. It could be that, or it could just be derived from the Greek alphabetic character Mu, which makes sense, I guess, because Mew, if you write it in Japanese, is written exactly the same way as Mew, the Pokemon's name. And Mew, you know, is used all across science for different purposes. I think originally it was tied to an Egyptian hieroglyphic that meant water or something like that, which is a source of life. So I don't know, makes sense, don't really know, but Mew is super cool. And it's pink and cute. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you made it this far, you are indeed a true Pokemon master. Seriously, we really appreciate it. And we will be back next weekend with part 2 of the internet's top 10 favorite Pokemon. If you are curious to see who is waiting in the top 5 and who will take the #1 spot, make sure to subscribe and tune in. One of the most interesting things about this whole process has been the sheer diversity of Pokemon that different people have chosen as their individual favorites. It's seriously really interesting, so here are a few of the Pokemon that got 1 vote each.
In the cloud, everyone's beautiful.
What the hell? Holucha, Woobat, Rapidash, Chandelure, Polygon, Plusle, Sudowoodo, Sudowoodo, Bonsley, Mr. Mime, Frogadier. There is quite a bit of variety under the hood in terms of what people are picking. Out of the 1,129 votes that I received, there were 262 unique entries and 134 Pokemon that just got 1 vote each. So I will include every single Pokemon that did receive a vote at the end of the next video when I show all the data. I just don't want to spoil anything for now, so yeah. Thanks again so much for watching, and if you want to check out some of my other videos while you're waiting for part 2, you might be interested in 10 fun facts about Pokemon Crystal or how Pokemon changed my life forever, feel free to check them out. Thank you so much, and let me know if you could choose just one Pokemon, which Pokemon would it be?